Welcome back! Now that you know the lay of the land, we're going to start piecing together the networking event, layer by layer. In this lesson, I'm going to show you how to add a video background, incorporate Executive Blair into the scene, and do some touch-ups on the color so that it all blends together naturally. So let's get to it.
Okay, so now we want to start compiling our shot. So we'll have our project from before, and I've already created a new bin for Act 2. And what I've done is actually I've gone ahead and renamed this project to just Green Screen MAJIK. The reason I did so is because I'm going to have all of my Act 1, 2, and 3 all together in this scene. And I'll show you here, this is my Green Screen MAJIK folder that has pretty much the entire Green Screen MAJIK e-course in. We've got Act 1, 2, and 3. We've got the trailer. We've got the grand finale, all the magician scenes for Act 1, 2, and 3. We've got the welcome intro and a bunch of other stuff that might have not been completely organized or for some reason outside of the folders. So it's nice all right here because sometimes when we are doing our compositing, we'll actually want to take something that maybe a sound effect that I have in Act 3. So it's all right here compared to into another project. Something new here in Premiere Pro that I've just noticed is that you can actually have multiple projects open. So that kind of potentially can change the way I'll be working. But what I just recommend here is that project that we named Act 1, wherever you saved it, when Premiere Pro is closed, you can rename that project anything you want and reopen it. So I just named it Green Screen MAJIK, created a new bin for Act 2, and there we go. And so I'm just going to now import, find my lesson material, Act 2. There we go. So we've got quite a few pieces. I'm going to open all of that into this folder. Great. All right, so let's just look at what we have. This is our table. So you can see that's the piece here. Even though there's a background to it, we're going to crop that out and just use this piece as our foreground. We've got a nice background. This is actually a nice video background, just creating some movement behind, very simple, just a loop. So we've compiled that for you already. So it's the size and it's easy peasy. We've got actually a behind the scenes footage of Brad and I talking about how we actually did this shoot. So some nice information in there for you to check on out. I also recommend bringing this into one of these scenes, so when you watch, you can speed it up. I always like watching these videos twice speed. I guess that's just being an editor, like go quick. What do we have? So we have some beginning, Blair ending, and then we've got a bunch of responses that you can go through. We've just got some silent filler of me just listening. We got some Brad video. So this will be essentially the raw footage. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to create a new bin. And we're going to call that Act 2 supplied. And that's actually what's going to go into here. And I'm going to put all of this into there. And then I'm going to create a new bin called Act 2 raw. And that's actually going to be what your footage will go into, just to keep things organized. So I'm going to put Brad's video. And let's see here, Brad's audio. So that's going to be your footage, just to keep it nice and clean. You know where everything is at all times. Speeds up the process down the road, especially when you start getting into big e-courses. Great. So where to start? It's always a good question. Well, let's put in our background. So what we're going to do is we're going to start a new sequence. Okay, so I'm going to just start off with the DSLR 30 frames per second. Call this Act 2 layered. All right, so we've got that. We're going to bring in this background. Nice. And I believe the background is already 1080p at 30 frames per second. Well, 29.97, but in the industry we just call it 30 frames. And the difference between something in 30 frames to the other standard, which is 23.97 or something along that line, is you get more frames coming across the eye per second, so it just becomes clearer. The 24p or the 23 point whatever it is has a little bit more of a, I wouldn't say fuzziness, but it creates a little bit more of that cinematic look. And most movies are shot in 24 frames compared to the 30 frames. And if you're looking for that sort of feel where it's a little bit more movie-like, then go ahead and shoot in that format. Otherwise, we tend to the standard tends to be 30 frames. So okay, so we've got our background. Now what? Let's bring in Blair beginning. So I'm going to put that in. And there we go.
Hey, didn't we meet in an elevator last week?
Yeah, that's right. I was thinking you looked familiar.
That's so funny. I walked off wishing I had more time to connect with you.
All right, there we go. So we've got that. And this audio here is already the improved audio that I've rendered together in the scene. So this isn't necessarily the full raw, just to simplify again for you. But if you were shooting this and this was one of your other characters or even another you, and you're bringing yourself in, then you'll want to sync up that audio now. I like doing that, therefore I'm not getting carried away, just one layer at a time, just kind of work with. Great. And so usually the way I work is I just start making this look pretty real. So here we go. So we're going to start off with the keying, the Ultra key. I'll apply that. I'll come over to my effect controls and get my key color. I like bringing the key color pretty close to the subject and trying a few. So you can see there's quite a bit of whitewash here. Maybe I'll do it down here and see, okay, it's not going to be perfect. The more even you can get your lighting onto the screen, the easier that this process is going to work for you. As you can see, ours isn't perfect, but luckily enough, we can fix that. So I usually just kind of find a nice space. That's pretty good. We're just going to work with that for now and see how it goes. All right, so again, we'll come down to the alpha channel. You can see what's going on, and we're going to open up matte generation. Start with the pedestal. Right away, that's looking better. However, you can see a little bit of transparency in the subject. So we're going to fix that. Bring that transparency down a little bit. Try to find that edge. You don't want to go too far. And then let's look at the composite. Not so bad. If I zoom in a little bit, now you can see some awkward color kind of on the edge here of my shirt. And this is generally what this matte cleanup will do. But often I come in here and I start just playing around and seeing what might work as well. Just highlights. No, it's not going to do much more. The one thing you can see is tolerance. It kind of takes away this green glow. The higher it goes, it kind of takes that out and brings in, you can see the wash of green kind of on my skin. You turn that up and it starts taking that green away out of out of that. So I like that. Nice high tolerance. But maybe just roll it back to 90 because I don't trust 100%. Good. Now matte cleanup. Here we go. So this is choke. So again, we're going to choke that down just enough to take that off. Don't want to go too far. Start trimming my goatee a little too much. And soften. Just a smidge. Like I said before, every shot's going to be different. And the better and smoother your lighting can be, the better you can get these shots. Good contrast. So you can see here, actually, the higher the contrast, oops, you can see this glass starts to go away. But also some of this extra lighting around me starts to go away too. So it's a trade-off. You want to find that happy medium in your shot. And then the midpoint. You can see how low midpoint to high midpoint kind of rolls off a little bit more, but takes away a little bit of that glass. So we'll kind of keep it right there. You can open spill saturation. You can see too much of that takes all the color away. Too little takes or puts the screen back. So you just find that it's normally at 25. It's pretty good for now. Range, kind of crazy. Don't need to play with that. Now what's interesting is spill. If you're still getting a little bit of a green wash on your skin, you can lift this up a little higher and that starts to take away the green and bring more of a red tone. And same with the luma. So any areas that are kind of gray in the shot will start to darken, look a little more shadowed. And I think that's looking pretty good for now. Not too bad. We'll be able to fix this up with some coloring down the road. But for now, we're looking good. And you can see here, so this table is now cut on out. And when I put down my drink, there we go. So it will be interesting, as you can see. We've got a little bit of a shadow on the table. And when we bring our table layer in, that might look like a natural shadow. It might not, and that's when we can play with the luma a little bit more. The spill. There's ways to kind of work with the shot and luminance. So we don't need to play with color correction necessarily here because we'll be able to do that with our Lumetri color later. Okay. So let's continue. We can fix things as we go. But what I actually want to do is get rid of some of this extra artifactings that we don't need. So I'm going to show you now a little bit more of an advanced cropping technique. We'll go in here, type in crop, define your crop tool, bring it onto your shot. I'm going to close down Ultra Key now so it's easier to see crop. And this tool, this free draw Bezier, allows us to create a mask. And a mask is a shape that we can create this way. So I'm just going to draw it down to where I want just my image to be. We'll do this for now, like so. And then we complete it, becomes a nice custom circle or shape that we wish to use. And then we can do our cropping and we just choose one of these and go 100%. And now you can see it actually took me out of the shot. That's okay, we click inverted. Now it takes everything out of the shot. You can see here how that was in. Now it takes it out. So you can see it takes everything out but what's inside the circle. Very effective tool. Now, however, I walk onto the shot at the beginning, and I'm also quite tall. So we have to be careful that this doesn't get in the way. And you can move your mask around, right? You can move your mask around to be where you need it. And the cool thing is you can actually animate where these points are. And I've used that many times to make things work if you walk off the green screen, let's say accidentally. However, it does increase the time. I could bring this right to the edge of my skin, my shirt, like so. And as I walk, this could be animated directly on my outline and we can cut myself out. Now, we don't necessarily need to do that here, but this looks pretty good. This is the beginning of the shot. So I'm in good space. Don't worry about my hand here because this will be a complete table image right across, even though our table wasn't right across because of the size. Well, there we go. So that's cropping and getting the Chroma Key activated for this beginning piece. And I'll leave it there and we'll see you in lesson 3.